What's going on, people? We have lost 2-0 at home to Wolves in what was a devastating blow to our top four hopes this season. It was a very, very poor result. I'm here with Iggy from Tottenham away. Look, it was, I think, at the end of the day, you just got to say we shot ourselves in the foot in the opening 20 minutes. We changed things up after half an hour to try and get back in the game, but ultimately it was too late, and we came up against a very stubborn, very well-organised and very good defensive side who we saw today why they conceded the second least in the Premier League. And you know, you can't give a side like that a 2-0 head start, and that's what's cost us at the end of the day.
Sim, we created our own mess, and I said this earlier on because we started off. I felt, and I'll stick by for what I said. I felt we started off really well. The signs were good, but you know, our errors is what led to their chances and ultimately goals. And it was just, you know, another comical display. From our, I wouldn't just put it down to defensive line, but also just defensively how we giving those goals away in the manner that we did, and then from then we just kind of lost our way. We tried to change it up a little bit after nearly just before the half hour. We made a change earlier on, but ultimately we just couldn't get ourselves back into the game. It's a big hit. It's a big hit because we needed a reaction after the Southampton game, and unfortunately we didn't quite get that. Second half, we could say we tried a little bit, but short of ideas, and I just felt that the longer the game went, the more Wolves became in control of it.
Yeah, and we started the first half all over the place, didn't we? Let's be honest.
Our first pass from Romero still stands to mind.
Yeah, exactly. And no, just the first. I'm saying the first half as well. Like,
yeah.
we started the game as we ended the Southampton game. The defence was all at sea. The first two goals, go for the first one, absolute shambles of a goal to concede from a defensive point of view and from Lloris's point of view. Neves has all the time in the world to line up a shot and win and score. And line up a shot on target. Lloris doesn't cover himself any glory parrying the ball straight back into the danger zone. It falls to Dendoncker, you know, again, no defenders reacting. His shot is weak, and Lloris could have probably caught that, or again palmed it away. Again, he palms it back in the danger area for no reason, and then Jimenez has a time to chest it and volley it into the corner, and then that's 1-0 after 6 minutes against a side who are very strong defensively.
It shouldn't have even got to that point. I mean, there was like 3 instances you just mentioned there. Neves getting the ball, no pressure, strikes it. Like you said, Lloris could have parried it out wide. Instead, it's gone back in there. Dendoncker hitting the post with you know, after deflected, and he still managed to get there before ahead of anyone else, before the ball went to Jimenez and slotted it in. I mean, there's 2 or 3, they were there all the time first, and that cannot happen when there's so much danger in a 6-yard box. It's just so typical at the moment of how we are defending. It's disappointing. We shouldn't be seeing that.
It's a shambles at the back. And then that follows from the second goal. Lloris, again, another unforced error, poor pass out wide to Davis. Davis is then in trouble, but again, he could do better than what he does. It's a really poor clearance by Davis, straight to Wolves. They're in on goal. They play it out wide to Semedo. He cuts it back to Podence. His shot takes a double deflection off Bentancur and Sanchez, but as the ball trickles onto the post, only one player is moving forward towards the goal, and that's Dendoncker. Sanchez and Bentancur just watching the ball ricochet off them and watching it go to the post, and he's quickest to react, and it makes it 2-0. And at 2-0, even after, I don't know when they scored their second goal, must have been, 20 minutes in or so.
Yeah,
at 2-0, you could even argue, you know, that game is pretty much done, considering their good defensive record, and that's the problem. We changed it after 25 minutes, bringing on Kulusevski for Sessegnon, went 4 at the back, and to be fair, we did kind of gain a bit of control in the game, and we started to dominate possession and try to pen back, but you know, Wolves have a defensive record this good for a reason, and it's because they're not easy to score against. They're not easy to break down, and you know, we didn't. With the few times we did break them down, we snatched at chances. We didn't take advantage of it. We rushed our shots. we weren't clinical enough, and then, you know, if you don't make one chance pay, the longer it goes on, it was easier for Wolves to see us out. And I think they were under the cosh for a large part, especially in the last half an hour. I did think we put them under serious pressure. But how many saves has Hassan had to make? One from the corner.
I was just about to say that. If you look at it from our point of view, we should be making the situations difficult for our opponents, and especially their goalkeeper. I don't remember any real difficult save that he had to make. Everything was pretty standard for any goalkeeper having to save for the away team. You compare that with what Lloris had to do. He was definitely, again, after the Sabbath, again, he was the busier of the two goalkeepers. That cannot happen in our home games. Listen, they obviously, when they got their second goal, the tie completely swung, or the game completely swung in their way. They were always compact, very compact between the lines, from the forward line to the defence. There was no more than 30, 40 yards ever. They were never really stretched. And we at that point, when they're so compact in the middle, you've got to force the game out in the wide positions. And I don't think, especially after we reverted to a back four, that we was good enough in those areas where we tried to isolate them in a one-on-one situation a few times, but our fullbacks were never forthcoming. And that is when the games are that tight in the middle, you need to start going on the outside. We didn't do that enough, Sim, and that was disappointing to see. The more longer the game went on.
Yeah, there was distinct lack of quality, wasn't there, in the final third from all our players, I would say. And that was really, really disappointing when we did get chances to really hurt Wolves. Because I actually think, especially in the second half, there's about 2 or 3 occasions that we actually did press really well. Yeah. We won the ball high up the pitch, and then all of a sudden we had, okay, now's your chance to spring on them. Now's your chance to be clinical, create something, create a good quality chance. And there was, I don't know whether there's too much going through their minds, or they're just not, or there's a lack of quality, but we never took full advantage of those situations, and we allowed Wolves to get back in position, and we allowed Wolves to see it out. And that was the most difficult thing, really. That's why we didn't get back in the game. I think when I look at the game today, it's not a case of we didn't try. It's not a case of, those players, should have put more effort in. It's not, for me anyway, it wasn't a case of, I didn't see effort being put in there. I just saw a massive lack of quality, and a massive case of Wolves having a very good defensive line and us not being able to break it down, and not for the want of trying. We tried and tried. We couldn't do it, and that's what happens when you give a team like Wolves a 2-0 head start like we did, and unfortunately it costs us. But for you, looking at the game, is there any positives you can take from it in terms of individuals or anything in terms of how the performance was?
It's hard because to highlight something positive that happened in the game like today is very hard. Individually, if we're talking about individuals, we could say Romero confirmed another good game on the back of the Southampton game. So from an individual point of view, I thought Bentancur started well enough in areas, but there's little else, because when you got Kane and Son, and then even Lloris today making a few of the mistakes, when your best players start making those sort of errors, one at one end and one at the other, it's very, very difficult to then highlight any positivity that's came through. I thought Sessegnon has started okay, but then it was unfortunate to be. So I would like him to get another chance, but very little else, Sim. And I think those 2 goals, given the confidence that we was already having on the back of the last game, I felt that you saw that where that initial burst happened, and we conceded 2 goals against really the run of play, if I'm being honest with you. You just see the confidence kind of draining away from the players the longer the game went. And I think if we had been another sort of mindset where even going 2-0 down, you're still assured of yourself, you feel strong enough to try and get that goal back and ultimately go on to win it. We never got that sensation throughout the whole game. Even that second half, I was saying, let's see if we can get at them, try and push the errors, and it never quite happened. It's almost there was no belief that we could recover that game in any formal way, and that was disappointing to see. But Wolves did what they did really well.
Well, they've done well the whole season.
They've done well They've done really well the whole season. It's just a shame that in the last 2 home games, we've come away with 2 defeats. That is just simply not good.
Yeah,
enough even from us.
I have to say credit to Wolves because I thought they defended exceptionally. I thought especially Max
match.
Kilman.
Yeah.
I thought Max Kilman was absolutely phenomenal at centre back. He turned into prime John Terry or something.
We got dominated in midfield as well.
I think so. In midfield, I think actually Bentancur had some really good moments. But yeah, I thought we got outrun. I thought Winks was dreadful. I thought he was really poor tonight for most part. But in terms of the game, I thought Wolves really defended brilliantly. I have to give them a lot of credit for that because I did think there were moments where we did create some good openings, especially there were moments where Kulu was picking up good areas in the centre and he was picking some really good through balls. You're, okay, you're thinking, we're in here. Where they kept getting back in position, they kept being resolute. And they didn't allow any chance. We didn't make any chance easy for us. They never gave up. They were fighting for every single ball, and you got to give them absolute massive credit. And I think like 2-0 up, it was always going to be very difficult for us to get back in the game. And that's I think that's what cost us really. Those opening 20 minutes cost us the game. I think that was the that's it for me, plain and simple. But you're looking at the table now and the season in general moving forward. We're 8th. We're still 4 points off top 4 with 2 games in hand, but we're now 3 points behind Arsenal, same games played. West Ham playing right now, and we are currently 4 points behind them with 2 games in hand. And obviously Wolves are now above us. We're a point behind them with 1 game in hand. So obviously a lot of games in hand and blah, blah, blah all to be played. But when you're losing 2 consecutive home games and you're losing 3 on the trot, and we got Man City next, which is more than likely another defeat. Is how damaging has this week been to our top 4?
Listen, it
could be fatal. Could it be fatal?
I mean, and I said this off camera before. I felt that the 2 home games were the ones that I was looking for us to get some kind of momentum to go into what is going to be the next 4 games are going to be away from home, 3 in the league and 1 in the cup. And now we go into these tough fixtures, all very far away from home. Starting, like you said, with Man City, with 2 defeats in the back of us and the confidence. Well, let's be honest, it's taken a big hit. So. It's difficult. I wouldn't look too much to the league right now because I think it's pointless to be looking at the league table. I think we just have to look at it at 1 game at a time again, and we need to cut out the errors until we cut out those errors that we're doing defensively, because it looked like even in the second half that we was going to concede a third because we will still continue to make those errors, especially with Sanchez, who had another absolute nightmare. Today, Davis wasn't that much better. I was leaving only Romero.
And I thought he got a lot worse when he moved to left back as well. He's not good at left back. I don't like him there.
Also, we that was my concern when Sessegnon and not Davis went off when we reverted. Is not having that width going forward, because I'm thinking, well, we need to create overlaps here. We need to create situations where they're going to be closing off, and we need to start stretching them. We didn't do that with a back four with Davis there. It just simply wasn't happening, and that, for me, that was the most disappointing thing. But, yeah, looking at the league or looking at top 4, you've got to look at it 1 game at a time right now. And that is a tough ask with Man City that awaits us. And they obviously come from the
if we lose, exactly.
So, listen, it doesn't look great. There's no point hiding. It doesn't look great. However...
I don't think it's fatal just yet.
We've got to keep hanging in there. We've got to keep holding on and hanging in there. And there's still many games to still play.
Yeah,
it's like I said, I'm not delusional. It is a tough ask, undeniable.
I think this week might have been the reality check that I'm hoping not.
Including myself, because now we're going to have the people like my fellow colleagues.
I really thought we were starting to get some consistency, but
I just didn't see these 2 games coming. Like
losing 2 on the trot like that, especially the worst thing is like. You can't even put it down to, we didn't have this player or that player or anything. It's like we had our pretty much except for Dyer, we've had like most of our players available, and like there's not many excuses you can say as to why we lost other than just not good enough.
And that's the problem. Mess until we cut out those mistakes in the manner that because a lot of them wasn't really, it wasn't like relentless pressing. We're forced us to make those mistakes. We actually made technical errors. It's those technical individual errors,
unforced errors,
that are costing us massively.
That Lloris goal, the second goal, complete unforced error. No need.
It wasn't like they did anything. Even the other goal.
He just passed it to Davis wrongly for no reason.
That ball that Lloris gave to Ben Davis, he was under no pressure.
Exactly.
And Ben Davis hitting that ball long, he was under no pressure. Could have hit it out for a throw. It's better than going where it was. These are situations. These are technical individual errors. I don't want to go into coaching because I'm not a coach, but these are technical individual errors. They're not team errors. You are making that mistake.
Yeah. Sanchez when he dribbles into a player in the second half on the edge of his box.
Exactly. Decision making that are all wrong, and it's just we got to improve. But then again, these are before anyone says, well, we should drop this guy, we should drop that. We don't have that many options in those situations. So we've got to keep going. Unless you want to bring Joe Roden now, he's clearly out of the project. We don't have any other changes there. Doherty, Emerson, Davis, Sessin, those are still the same players you're going to have to work with to the end of the season. And before anyone asks, we can get into that at the end of the season, not right now. Right now, these are the players that we got, the 21, 22 players. We've got must move forward with them. At the end of the season, we'll draw all the conclusions and decide who to place the blame and where.
A couple of chaps to end off the show with. Richard Blackdod said, skilled master using blunt and worn out tools does not a craftsman make. Dan Fries says, can we give Roden a chance? Can't be any worse. And I'm hoping Dyer's going to be back for the next game, so that'll be good. And get Sanchez out and Skip as well.
Massive.
Christopher Beavis says, going to need to tank the final games of the season, not getting top 4, but can't be in the Conference League either. Well, maybe Europa League we can hope for at this point. I think, honestly, top 4 is getting to that stage with every defeat where it's like, we're just playing ourselves out the race at the moment.
I think what keeps us in is because the others around us not doing too brilliantly either.
No, you're right. That is, and to be honest, in terms of, look, as much as people are going to say, oh, it's gone and this and that, like, we're only 4 points away. So as much as everything seems right now awful and bad, and I including for me, it's like, okay, we just lost 2 home games against 2 winnable games. Pretty convincingly, we've lost them both. And you're like, where do we go? How are we going to get top 4? But as long as that gap stays like that, stays gettable.
Attached, you're right.
It's that as long as it doesn't come 8 and 9 points, as long as it stays between 0 and 6. As long as it's like that, then you can go into the final 5 games or so with still a bit of hope. But if it starts coming 7, 8, 9, 10, then it's over.
I don't think we're, anyway, at the moment, we're not favourites to make that top 4.
I think,
but
if you would ask me, on Wednesday before the game started, I would have said we were. But I think with these 2 games have being lost the way they are, I think we've now lost any advantage. First of all, we've lost any mental advantage that we had with having those games in hand and thinking, oh, we could be in such a strong position. But now it's like, do the games in hand even matter? Because are we going to win them? Because at the moment, we're losing games at home to Southampton and Wolves, so you can't really talk about winning any games in hand or anything until you'll get that consistent run of games going. And at the moment, 2 damaging home defeats. So, after his home record was so strong before these 2 home games, and now it's like confidence. All of a sudden, the confidence is going to seep out of them. So we have to, and now we've got City next, so that's a write-off as well. So.
The thing is, the confidence just goes to show how football's become so huge in confidence, because we looked at before those 2 games that I'll be the first to admit to say that I thought that we'd just shown signs that Chelsea game aside, we've shown signs that we'd turned the corner with the confidence. Yeah, Brighton, we played well. Yeah, we played well against them. And I just thought, you know what, there was a shift in mentality. That was the most important. That's the hardest thing to break, is that part there. And we looked that we've done that, but with these 2 games, I felt like we've just gone backwards. After all that hard work to get to those points, it's just kind of been taken away from us a little bit. And again, it's our undoing, Sim. It's our undoing that we've got to that situation, and I have no explanation as to why we've done what we've done.
All right. Well, look. There's going to be plenty of dissection in the post-match fan show, which will be starting in the next 20 minutes or so. So stay tuned for that. But thank you everyone who joined us on the watch along, and all your views, all your super chats, and all the comments. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be back very, very shortly. Thank you, Iggy, for joining me on the watch along. And
Pleasure, man.
if you click on the title, subscribe to Tottenham Away.
Yep.
You can go check him out more regularly there. But see you very soon on the Fan Show. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.